So I did this work back in 2013, 2020, 2010. I finished that work, but I continued to do the work with my organization. So it's a legacy of that work and looking at what are some of the things that drive young people, young Black and Indigenous people in terms of science and technology. And it's not just science and technology. We can think of many other areas, but we
Mm-hmm.
talk about music, for example. We start where students are and
Right.
build their confidence and move forward with that.
I am so happy to be with you on Cloud Record Music Podcast and YouTube channel. It gives me great pleasure to spotlight my special guests, Dr. Leroy Clarke and Elisha McMillan. You'll be charmed and motivated by our inspiring conversation. Don't go anywhere. And now, a Cloud Record Music Spotlight. Dr. Leroy Clarke is the founding president of Ecamp Mentoring, a Canadian nonprofit focused on mentoring, training, and coaching MTC with a rich background in business, computer science, equity, and inclusive education. At neuroscience research, Dr. Leroy brings over 35 years of experience spanning education industry, who holds a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and Biochemistry, a Master in Pharmacology from the University of West Indies, and a PhD in Science and Technology Education from the University of Toronto. Dr. Clarke also co-founded a former pioneering healthcare service provider center for Rehabilitation and Health Services, Inc., integrated technology with healthcare. He is honored for his contribution. Above all, he values his role as a spiritual leader, husband, father, grandfather, mentor, and community advocate. His commitment shines through diverse endeavors, uplifting communities and nurturing future leaders. Elicia McMillan is a dancer, storyteller, sociologist, and a certified co-active coach. Elicia has studied drums and dance for 20 years, which led her to tour internationally as a performing artist alongside established artists from across the African continent. She studied rhythm and movement while living in West Africa, Ghana, and Mali, Brazil, and Mexico. In 2009, Elisha founded Rhythm is for Everyone. She's passionate about education and the heart. Over the past 14 years, Elisha supported students to express themselves through rhythm and movements in over 40 elementary and high schools, and a number of international collaborations, including the education in Finland. Rhythm is for Everyone is a collaborating partner with Ecamp Mentoring in establishment of the Intergenerational Hub Project in 2020. Now, I'm excited to have this captivating conversation with the gifted Dr. Leroy Clarke and the talented Elisha McMillan, who is joining us from Ontario, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome mentor, activist Dr. Leroy Clarke and international artist Elisha McMillan to Cloud Record Music Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Marie.
Thank you so I'm much. Excited. Yes.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this. And just for disclosure, I happen to know Dr. Clarke since I was a little one. Sorry, not that little, but in my teenage. So he's actually family. You know, my uncle and his sister is husband and wife. So we're family. And I'm excited. I'm having them here today because these individuals, we are into music, but we're also humanitarian. We are into charitable. And these individuals run different organization. They also have an organization they do together, and they're doing excellent work in Canada. And they're going to share with us what they're doing and how we can help and how we can contribute to make their work even more successful. So let's start the conversation. So my question here is this. You both very passionate about our young people. So Dr. Clarke, you can start first. Where did your passion for the young people came from?
Yeah, to a great extent, I think my mother played a very important role in my development. My mother passed away in 2019, but my father also passed away long before that, much longer than that. So, to a great extent, my mother was the sole provider and protector of her children. And I grew up in Jamaica, and I see the way she treated the community and always very loving to young people. And that's something that I also developed. But after I came to Canada and start working with the youth, I worked in the field of medical technology for a number of years. And then I started in the area of education. And the importance of young people in creating a future that is going to be successful became very clear to me. And so I started to invest in that.
Wow, that's good. I'm sure the young people is so privileged to have that, because it seems to me that there were times when children were not in our forefront, right, of taking care of them. So now that I see people out there like yourself that are working and making sure to develop the young people, it is such a good thing to do, right? Because change begins when you're young. If we can capture them at their youth, we can obviously change the trajectory of their lives. Elicia, I don't know why I want to call you Elisha. Is that something? Elisha is such a beautiful name.
There's something there. I am named after Elijah in the Bible.
Oh, wow.
That's another story, maybe.
So that's why I keep wanting to call you that. You see? Prophetic. Wow. Did your family influence your worldview with such passion that you have developed yourself?
Absolutely. I had the great fortune to grow up living with my grandparents, and my grandmother is from Jamaica, and I spent a lot of time with my grandmother and listening to stories of Montego Bay and their family and just the way life was. She loved the flowers and the banana trees, and I grew up having the benefit of having these connections with my grandparents. My aunt and my cousin lived with us. My mom, we all lived in a big house together. And so from that point, I already began to develop an interest in intergenerational connection because it was such a beautiful part of my life. And in terms of working with youth, a dear friend of my brother's who grew up also coming over to our house. His father was Jamaican and his mother Indigenous, and the two brothers were always at our home and eating from our cupboards. And
wow.
And he actually ended his life in his early 20s, and it really impacted me. He was suffering in silence, and it was a very difficult thing to accept and to live with. And at that time, I pledged to myself and to God that I would spend my life trying to serve youth and supporting them in their mental health, because we're living in difficult times.
Yeah, I would assume, you grew up in Jamaica? You spent a lot of time there?
No, I grew up in Scarborough, Ontario. My grandmother grew up in Jamaica.
Okay, but you have never been there?
I've been there, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I would say that mental health, it's getting better, but it was almost like taboo when I was growing up. You know what I mean? Yeah, people wouldn't even touch that, right, Leroy?
With a 10-year-old, no, because it was suggests that it was the devil or something like that.
Right, and it
almost
almost like
better now.
Yeah, it's almost like a shame on the family. So even they would probably just ignore it. So,
Mhm.
you turn something bad into something good for everyone, which is good.
Mhm.
Dr. Clarke, I'm curious because you're really retired, supposedly, but now you seem to be working harder and you're giving so much more of yourself to humanity. Why is that?
Yeah, I think now I understand when people said they're retired, but they are more busy than they were before. And I've experienced this. So I would say it's more or less a retransitioning because I do quite a bit of work, always did a lot of work with young people and research in this area. And so it's something that when you're passionate about something, it's difficult to put it away and say, once 165 hits you, you are on your way. But no, it's something that you're passionate about. You build on it and you move
Mm-hmm.
forward. And especially when you see a need. When you see a need, and for me, one of those great needs was especially for our Black youth who were not doing as well as their white counterparts. It was something that I had to do some more about.
That's what I'm most impressed about. And this is why I'm going to and encouraging all of our audiences and that are listening to us and watching us on this podcast to make sure you go and financially support this organization. We're going to learn more about the work they do, but we need more people out there that are advocating and working with our youth because things have to be different. Alicia, I have a question because you are an international artist. You play drum, you dance, and you created something which I find to be interesting. I'd love to know where the name comes from. It's called Rhythm is for Everyone. So,
Mhm.
really tell us about it and where did its name, where did you get the name from?
Yeah, about 14 years ago, I started my business. And because I have mixed ancestry and I was drumming and dancing with people of all different cultures, Toronto's a very multicultural city. And I just really felt that rhythm and movement it's ancient medicine. It's not just for celebration, it's for health and mental health and spiritual health. And I felt it's for everyone. We all have a heartbeat. We all breathe. Even if we can't walk, even if we're paralyzed, we still have rhythm. And I wanted to bring that forward because there's a lot of stereotypes about white people not having rhythm. And, in certain ways that could be seen as true, but I think it's more of a lack of some of the European indigenous cultures having that continuity of their drumming and their rhythm, their dancing and their songs and their rhythms coming forward. So I wanted to ensure that my business was welcoming to everyone and that everyone could drum and dance with me and that they were
Right.
all welcome.
Wow. And we do hold different movements. Some are just more, I guess, creative than others, right?
Yeah.
And of course, as you said, the indigenous folks, a lot of their history or their culture have been taken away from them, right? The fact that you're bringing it available to everyone, regardless of the culture, or is a good thing. Remind us,
But I think
right?
music also have that um, shelf life as well, where at a certain period in time, a certain type of music is in vogue, and so after a time, it's not so much. The kind of rhythm that we see now is mostly African Latino, and those are the ones that are perhaps very entertaining
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
easily people easily glide into. So I think that perhaps is part of the reason. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have to say that, like you said, the Latino and the Black youths and the culture for them seems to me that other groups drive to it. They like it. Like the music is a lot of the Black music are bought by mostly young white well, that's what I love about Heart. It breaks down the barriers of racism and division, right? It can bring people together. Dr. Clarke, and I want to go into something that you both are doing together. But before we do that, can you explain to us the Ecamp mentoring program that you have started?
Yes, Ecamp mentoring. As I said earlier, I was in the area of science and technology, worked in that area for about 15 years. Later on, I went into education and still continuing in the area of science and technology education. And one of the things that we did was, I did in my doctoral work at University of Toronto, was to look at what was happening to Black students and Indigenous students who were not not matriculating into medicine like whites. And that was a concern and still is a concern. But there was a mentoring program that I thought I would investigate and find out how can we make how this can be more effective, and what are the important impacts of this particular program. So I did this work back in 2010. I finished that work. But I continued to do the work with my organization. So it's a legacy of that work, and looking at what are some of the things that drive young people, young Black and Indigenous people, in terms of science and technology. And it's not just science and technology. We can think of many other areas, but we talk about music, for example. We start where students are and build their confidence and move forward with that.
I like the idea of the science and technology, because that's one of the area where I think especially minority students need to excel in and be exposed to, right? And especially in a changing world where technology is the future. This way we're not leaving anyone behind. So I think that's excellent. Now, you're on the technology side. Elicia, you're on the movement and the rhythm side, which is great. And then you guys came together and formed this intergenerational hub. Well, can you explain to us what it is and what is the service that you're providing to those that you're serving? You want to start, Dr. Clarke, and then...
Yes, it's interesting how we came together, because I think that was providential in my opinion. But Elisha might give you a better picture of how it started. But I've been teaching and working with a school board and doing development work with the school board. So, Elisha, you can take it from that place.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also a sociologist, and I had been piloting community building intergenerational programs for, now it's been about 12 years, within schools and also in like community housing and those kind of settings. So when Dr. Clarke and I met, by good fortune, we crossed paths in just the right moment. We combined our shared passion for youth and opening up discussions about racism and how to dismantle anti-Black racism. And we began to work with high school students, traveling around to hear their stories, their experiences of racism within the community, within the school, and having the support of myself. And we had others on the team who are Black music therapists and singer-songwriters and a DJ. So we would support them to create music and express through the arts. And then we began to introduce that part of my work that is also a part of Ecamp mentoring. So we shared that part of the intergenerational work and began to Zoom into classrooms, mainly because of COVID at the time, but we still do it now for accessibility, to have representation in the schools. There's a lack of Black teachers, and it's a big problem. And it's slowly changing, but it's very slow. It's not
in Canada?
Yes, really.
Certainly where
Really?
we live,
It,
Wow.
it's
interregion.
interesting to say that from my experience, uh, it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. And that's sad because the representation is not the only thing that matters, but it matters a whole lot.
Absolutely.
Students,
Yeah.
students cannot see themselves represented in people in the community and people who teach them. It's not
Mm-hmm.
likely. The research is very clear on that, that it's not likely that they're going to progress very far or as much as they should. So that's something that we saw. And that literature was very clear to me, which means that we had to delve more deeply into doing something and to engage them, starting where they are and engage them. Find mentors for them in science and technology, which we've done, and help them to move forward in those fields.
So we zoom
Wow.
into a classroom and there will be like 5 to 8 Black identifying seasoned adults. We don't use the term seniors or retired. They have lived
Right.
more
Caesar.
seasons.
Right.
And we have a spoken word poet / fashion woman from Jamaica. We have a banker who was, high level stock trading. We have a retired staff sergeant from the police. So there's quite a range of
Wow.
the skills and knowledges of the seasoned adults who come in. And they're willing to answer just about any question, including how do you deal with microaggression? How do you respond to racism in the workplace? These are not topics that are covered in schools, but these conversations need to be happening.
So
Absolutely.
the intergenerational, Dr. Leroy or Elisha, is it? I know you're into the school, but I was watching one of your film where you have these retired or older adults, and you were connecting them with the youth. Is that part of this intergenerational
Absolutely.
as well?
Absolutely. So it's not on our programs are not only limited to schools, but community as well. So churches, cultural groups, we collaborate because that's the answer. When funds are very scarce, it's important that you find connections with groups that have the same vision and work together to make it happen. And that's some of the things that we have been doing to successfully promote our vision.
And the students do have the chance to drum in person in the schools as well. There is an in-person component.
Right. And just to give our audience just a little bit of perspective of your program, because I find it to be very powerful, we'd like to show them about, say, a minute and a half or 2 minutes of what you actually do. And then once we're finished, we'll come right back to the conversation. Enjoy it.
I mean, the music was fun and trying to keep on beat, practicing, but as to where I was before and where I am now, I wish I could feel like this every day. Same with him. Just felt really relaxed, and today is my last day here, and it's just a good way to kind of relax and end it off. Yeah, thank you.
It was really relaxing, fun to do, and we were jamming with each other, so it was like that.
There's a dream in you to follow through. Just do it, pursue it, see it through. The dream in you.
Okay, so as you can all see, it's a very powerful program, and again, I'm going to encourage everyone, do not skip by, but make sure you go down below. You'll find the link to It is called Intergenerational Hub. There's also the link to Ecamp mentoring. There's also the link to Rhythm is for Everyone. I want everyone to go there and make a donation, contribute, no matter where you're in the world. You maybe physically can't be in Canada to help. Where in Canada are you located? Is it Ontario?
Ontario, Canada. Yeah. And it's the eastern part. Well, it's close to Toronto, about 60 kilometers. We're in Oshawa, Ontario, about 60 kilometers east of Toronto. So it's part of the Greater Toronto area, which is about 4 million people or so. And so, yeah, it's a large metropolis. And
Okay. So for all the people out there like myself that like to say, oh, we're for the youth, who want to support the youth, who want to support organizations that are helping the youth, well, here they are. So make sure you do your part and please, log on and make your donation online. And what I like about Ecamp mentor and donation, once you go there, there's actually choices of which you can make your donation. And one of the places you can make a donation as well is Dr. Clarke have a scholarship program called the Olive Maud Scholarship Fund.
the Olive
Tell us
Maud,
about that and how we can also contribute financially to that.
my mother, Olive Maud Clarke, died in 2019 at the age of 105 years. And I speak about her early and about the legacy that she has left with me, even though she did not have more than a grade 7 or 8 education, but she was able to influence her children to do well. And that's something that is powerful. Not only her own children, but she should be someone who take in other children and try to do the best for them. So this scholarship is in our honor, and we are very, very privileged to do that once per year. Scholarship of about $1,000 or $1,500, depending on how much money we are able to earn or to raise. But this is something that if somebody did not have, it makes a difference. If you did not have
Oh, yes.
$1,000 or $1,000, your program might be in jeopardy. The last individual, that's a 2023 recipient, was Cora Reed, and I would really encourage you to listen in on her own testimony of what this means to her. So we are very privileged to do that.
Okay, so you just have to provide the link for that, and we'll make sure that's also below so you can all check out all of their story. That was powerful, and I was part of that as well. It was very powerful. Again, the more that we contribute financially, the more you can give in terms of the scholarship. And we know what it's like when you're in college and trying to make it. It's really, really hard. So whatever we can do, please, this is how we can make a difference. Yeah, we are into music and we do music to inspire people to change our community, but we also like to support organizations that are doing the same thing. They are making a difference in their community. So let's get busy and help out with that. Okay. So, Elicia, how can we reach you? Like, are you on the social media? Can you let our audience know if they want to follow you? How can we reach you?
You can find me on Facebook at Elisha Trees, or my business page is called Dance Medicine. And on Instagram, it's Elisha_drum and dance medicine.
Okay, Dr. Clarke?
Yeah, you can find us at Ecamp online. We also on Facebook from time to time, and YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel of some of the work that we have done. And yeah, one of the important thing is that individuals who want to come in to help in this area is also welcomed. If you have a skill in media work, come in and help and teach somebody the skill so that they themselves can get better. The thing about technology these days is that young people sometimes know how to use it, but not critically. they are not critical users of media and technology, and so they might be able to move a few buttons here and there. But in terms of really being critical users, where they can make a difference and can make it work, I think that is lacking somewhat. So
Mm.
I think that's where older seasoned adults can help to
Can
work
help.
and build together with the skills that they have and the skills that the young person has to move them forward.
We also
Amen to
have
that. Go ahead, Elisha. Go ahead.
we also have a Facebook page and Instagram page called the Intergenerational Hub, and that's where we will feature a film that we're working on now. We're just getting those up and running, so the more people who come and like the page, then it helps us to grow our audience.
All right. So you hear it, folks.
I'm truly excited about that film, about on the work that we are doing and how students are finding it. Their own reflections is really, really critical, because we can say this is what it does, but when they themselves say this is what it means to me, you have to think again.
Amen. Well, you guys are doing impressive work. I am so happy and so honored and thrilled that you're here and to share all what you're doing to the audiences. And of course, again, I'm encourage everyone, their link are below. Please go there, make your contribution, make a difference wherever you're in the world. And I know my audiences are all over the world, but the internet, click it, make your donation and help support this very, very good cause. Well, Dr. Clarke and Elicia McMillan, I am so honored to have both of you. Thank you for coming in and chatting with me about the good work you're doing. I hope we can make a difference in making your work more successful and so you can do even more. So I thank you so much. And again, listeners, make sure you're subscribing to Cloud Record Music Podcast, like us and share us. And we will see you in a couple of weeks with a new episode. Peace.
Thanks,
Goodbye,
Maureen.
everyone.
Thank you, Marie.
Bye.
Goodbye.
You're welcome.